Hi guys, this is just my quick fallout video from the comments. I like to do these. I mean, I know people say, why do you do these? Well, I like to do them and it's my channel and I like to do them. So here we go. I'm going to discuss a few of the comments that I've had that I just want to address really. I'm not trying to justify myself. I'm just saving myself having to type the same thing over and over again to hundreds and hundreds of people. That's the main reason I do this. I knew how volatile the Dark Souls fan base is, and I'm very surprised at the amount of Dark Souls players that are agreeing with what I've said, because I didn't expect any of them. I even said to my friends, this is going to be worse than the Witcher 3 Fallout, because I just know how these communities are. They refuse to, it's kind of like they put blinkers on. They look at videos like my Worth a Buy on Dark Souls 3. They pay very little attention to 90% of what I say. They pick up on one thing, put that together with the thumbs down, and then unleash fury, which is ridiculous. You can't. This is why I'm not a review channel per se. When you go to the likes of, I don't know, a big review site, you'll get a score like, 8 out of 10, and there'll be a little strapline comment that goes with that that'll sum up the game. I don't do any of that. When you're looking at my videos, you have to take everything, like the whole lot. You have to listen to all the words. I know that's hard for some of you, but try and listen to all the words, because I never said this game was a bad game. I just said I didn't like it. In my opinion, that it's a bad game. Now that doesn't make a game a bad game just because I think it's a bad game. That's just one guy thinking it's a bad game. I actually recommended it to people who like this type of boss fight brutality. I actually said that it is a thumb up if that's the kind of thing you are. So all the people that's roasting me, I actually said that this game is a thumb up in its specific genre. It should have its own genre, this game, because it's not an RPG sort of fantasy game. In my opinion, it needs its own special genre, because if you are ignorant to everything that's happened in the gaming industry about what these games are, and some people that are just coming into games might, Dark Souls, what is that? I don't know, let's read. They'll look at it and see how, it's a fantasy role-playing game, and so they might just buy it based on that and be totally devastated at how bad it is at a fantasy RPG. Because let's be honest, it is bad as a fantasy RPG. Dark Souls is really a test of person versus bosses, because that's the game. The game is you fight boss after boss after boss after boss. Yeah, there's a story going down, which is fine. And yes, you customize your character. And yes, you add skill points into different areas to build him up the way you wanted. Yes, you can mod your weapons and get new weapons and all the rest of it. But that's only a small part of a fantasy role-playing game. That's like a tiny piece of a fantasy role-playing game. For example, I'm playing Dragon's Dogma at the minute, which is going to get reviewed next week, and that's a fantasy role-playing game, third person as well. Similar kind of fighting to Dark Souls, has bosses in it, but that's a very deep game. It has 10 times the content of Dark Souls. It has so much more going on than just fighting a boss. There is shitloads going on, but I'm not going to go into that because I'm doing a review on that next week. But comparing that to Dark Souls is like comparing walking down a corridor to walking across green fields. There's just so much more going on, and that was my gripe with Dark Souls. It's a one-trick pony. That's it. If you don't like boss fights, then that's all Dark Souls has to offer. Oh yeah, there's PvP incursions where somebody can jump in and get raped. It's like, well, that's hardly a massive gameplay element there, is it? The gameplay is the boss fights, and the boss fights, unfortunately, are all the fucking same, which I'm going to prove to you now. We're going to switch live to Google, and I'm going to type in Dark Souls 3 boss. Oops, that's booze. Boss fight. See what comes up. I'll go to videos. Now, I'm just gonna go to page, I don't know what. I'll go to page 4 see what's on page 4. I haven't seen any of these. What's this? Dark Souls 3 new gameplay 5. No, Soul of Cinder boss fight walkthrough. Alright. Now, I haven't seen this. I know nothing about this boss. I don't even know what it looks like. But I will wager that the guy, no matter what class he is using a melee weapon, and he will wait for the boss to attack. He will dodge and roll out of the way of that attack. Then when the boss kind of staggers, he'll run in, hit the boss with a couple of pokes, and then get the f*** out of there, and do that for 10 or 15 minutes. So let's have a look at this. Alright, that was a co-op fight, guys, so I don't want to see that. I want to find, so we'll go to page 6. Dark Souls 3 gameplay. Actually, hang on, I'll tell you what I'll do. We'll go to search tools, and I'll make it in the past week. So we'll get the new ones, so it'll be from PC. There's one there. Dark Souls 3 Dancer of the Boreal Valley boss fight. Oh, it's a glitch. Forget that. I'll dive onto page 5. What's this? Pontiff Sylvian boss fight solo. Alright, okay. We're going to go into this one, guys. What you're going to see is roll. There's the rolls. There's another roll dodge. He'll hit now. Now we'll roll out the way again because he's having it. Oh, he didn't. He got hit. He should have rolled out the way there. Get good. There he is, rolling, keeping behind him. This is exactly how I beat the first boss. He is using exactly the same tactics that I did. He's just staying behind him. He's rolling. He's hitting. And then when the guy turns around, you see how he's just keeping rolling to keep behind him. That's it. All right, that's enough of that. Right, let's pick another one. High Lord Wolnor boss fight. Okay, let's check out this. Oh, it's IGN's. Let's not. They'll just be 10 out of 10 all over the screen. Boss 14, Champion Gundar. Hang on, is this not the same boss that I fought? He looks the same boss that I fought, but it's in a different place. What? Well, there you go anyway. You can see exactly the same tactics. Hit him, roll out the way, get behind him, and then do that. Deacons of the Deep boss. There he is, rolling around underneath him, getting him behind him, poking him with his little stick. And then it'll be rolls, rolls, rolls. There's the rolls, rolls, rolls. Yes, then poke him with your stick, mate. Oh, he's in there. He's in what looks like mud. Then, yeah, just hit with stick, hit with stick. You better start rolling, mate. He's there, he's rolling, there, he's rolling. Yeah. We all know that that's what Dark Souls is. Now, that doesn't make it a bad game, because if you are into boss fighting and just wanting harder and harder bosses progressively through a game, then yeah, why not? It's a good game, and I said that in my video. I said it's a good game if that's what you want, and I even recommended to Bloodborne players, and I said, yeah, buy it, it's a thumb up. But what I was saying was that if you aren't into that, don't buy it, because when you look at other reviews of the game, you don't really get that impression that that's what it is, because all everybody's doing is just masturbating over the combat, and other people who don't really know what this game is could buy it and be really disappointed. And all I'm doing is I'm offering an alternative view of the game, and this is why I didn't get past the tutorial. Well, it's not the main reason I didn't get past the tutorial is because after 15 crashes I got so pissed off I started to restart the game. I read false information on the forums that it was actually something to do with the characters you selected, so I kept going through different characters until I got to the bonfire to see if it crashed. And that's why I had to beat that icy monster thing, which I know isn't a boss, but that other first boss, I had to beat them twice to see what was going on with each character, So I was a bit pissed off after 5 hours of fighting the same bloody bosses with different characters. Plus I wanted to see how different characters worked. I got bored with the knight. I found them pretty boring. But then I played the guy with the spear and the shield, and I found him pretty boring. I tried a warrior, I found him pretty boring. Then I went for a caster and found that he was doing melee combat as well, and I just thought, fucking hell. That's why I said that I don't need to play the game all the way through to give an evaluated WAB on Dark Souls 3, because it is no different. You know, if I played this game for 30 hours and beat the final boss, you tell me how that is going to be different to what I did on that very first boss, when the same strategy is used pretty much. Obviously there's going to be differences because you're going to level up and get new abilities, so you're going to have a little bit more choice in how you go about beating an enemy, but the core battle, as I've just proved there by picking on 3 random videos, is roll, dodge, hit, get out of there. Roll, dodge, hit, get out of there. And that's all you do, whether you're going to do a cast or whether you're going to slash with your sword when you have that opportunity. That's all you're doing in the game. And for a fantasy RPG, that's a shallow game in my opinion. When people say, oh no, it's got depth, you should see the combat. Well, no, depth in a game is not about one specific thing. Depth in a game, by the very definition of the word depth, is deep, means there's a lot of stuff to do. This has nothing going on apart from boss fights. Alright, there's a few trash mobs in between the boss fights, you know, but that's it. That's the game. That's what you get with a Dark Souls game, but that's what people want from a Dark Souls game, you see. So I'm agreeing with you that, yeah, it's, as far as that's concerned for what you want, then it's great. I didn't like it, but that's just my opinion, and I'm just warning other people that maybe don't know what they're getting into, that this is what you're getting into if you buy it. If you buy Dark Souls 3, all it is trash mobs, boss fight, trash mobs, boss fight, trash mobs, boss fight, and the boss fights consist of you rolling around the floor looking for an opportunity to hit them, and if you make a mistake and get hit, you are probably going to die very, very fast. Now, I challenge anybody out there to prove me wrong on what I've just said. That is the game in a nutshell. That's what I said in the video, so cry more, because that is the truth. I have been accused of misinforming people. How have I misinformed you? How have I misinformed anybody about that? I said the controls suck in the sense that you can't bind them properly, that the prompts are all for a controller, so if you're using a mouse and keyboard, you're in a right fucking mess just to start with. And I just, as I've explained, I'm not going to repeat myself, as I've just said about the combat, that's what it is, that's what the game is. Now, are you saying that that's wrong then? Are all these people saying that that's misinformed? Because you're liars. Of course it's not misinformed. That is exactly what Dark Souls is. You know, so that's it. End of story. I haven't misinformed anybody. I've just done what I always do, tell the truth. And the truth fucking hurts, doesn't it? And that's what this is all about. It's about people who love Dark Souls looking at me and saying, oh, that bastard there, he just hates third-person games. Which is bullshit. I mean, I'd prefer first person, but I don't hate every third person game. Some of them I like. I mean, I like Just Cause 3, you know? So, yeah, it had its flaws, but I still liked it. And there's plenty other third person games that I like as well. But people are just, oh, you're biased. How am I biased? All I do with a game, there's no hidden agenda with me. What I do, I get a game and I play it. And then I make a decision on whether I'm having fun. Am I having fun playing this game? No. Why am I not having fun? Well, the controls are f***ed up, the boss fights are repetitive, and all the things I've mentioned. That's why I don't like it. Then I say, right, will other people like it? And I make an educated guess on that and say, well, yes, because I know how a lot of people love this kind of combat and love the challenge of boss fights. So I then say, right, so if you are into boss fights and like this style of gameplay, then you're going to love the game. Why? Because there's nothing wrong with it in that sense. As far as them things go, it's fine. There's no flaws that I saw in it, which is why I said it's a thumb up if you like that kind of thing. But where the problem with the fanboys is, that's not good enough for them. Oh no, no. Everybody has to like it and love it, and if you hate it, then you need to get good. You know, they don't understand the concept of opinions because they're too fucking stupid. And that's the problem with the internet. It's full of fucking retards. It really is. I mean, there's a lot of... I mean, it's not full of them. There's about 20% of people are just mentally challenged in the form of being able to control themselves. It's like the old argument I come back to of when I was 17 and I loved U2 and Simple Minds, and I had t-shirts of U2 and Simple Minds, and I saw them both live in concert, loved them back in the day, but my friend, he couldn't do that. He had to side with one of them because the bands were so alike, and it was like, how can you like both? Simple Minds are so much better than U2, and I said, well, I just like them both. I just like them both. I think they're both great bands. No, you're not allowed to like them both, face. You must choose. You know, he was such an immature little prick. And, you know, that's what it's like on the internet now with a lot of these people. It's like, how dare you not like Dark Souls 3? It's fucking good. Get good yourself, then you love it. You misinformed wanker. Go yourself. You hate all games. You're just a c***. You know, yeah, that's what you get for telling the truth. I must admit I have had a good laugh doing this game, but yeah, it is, you know, people need to get good at actual common sense, really. So there you go. So that's it, guys. That's all I wanted to say on this. That's my reasons that I thumbed it down. But as I've said in the video, the original one, and in this one, the game itself is not bad. In fact, it's probably the best game in its genre. And in my opinion, its genre is boss fights. That's it. It isn't a fantasy RPG in the sense that I look at. Dragon's Dogma is. This isn't. Witcher 3 is. This isn't. And anyone who's played them 3 games will see a clear difference between the Dark Souls franchise and the Witcher franchise and the Dragon's Dogma franchise. And that, in my book, is how you differentiate between a fantasy RPG, or should I say maybe it's a classic. Maybe that's a better way of putting it. Is it a classic fantasy RPG, and a specific one? Like I said in a few of my comments, I just want to add this, and this is probably going to cause problems with a few of you, but it almost felt like a mod. It almost felt like a mod for a fantasy RPG where they've took out the whole main part of the game, like all the questing and the open world and all the shops that you would visit in taverns and towns and speak to everybody, you know, the kind of stuff you do, escort missions and all that in a fantasy RPG. It's like they've took all that out, these like coders, and says, hey look, we'll take all the game out, and what we'll do, we'll just put a few boss fights in a row, and you just walk around from this place to this place and get the boss fights. That's how it feels to me. I mean, yeah, there's a bit of strategy in the sense of the Souls, where you have to go to the bonfires, and it's whether you dare go further to the next bonfire, or do you go back to the one that you've just been on and cash in, so to speak, or do you go forward and risk losing all your stuff that you've gathered? So I mean, yes, there is that bit of gameplay element in there, but so what? That's nothing, you know, compared to what you get in Witcher 3, Witcher 2. I mean, I played the Witcher 2, got quite a way into the Witcher 2, and it is a true fantasy RPG, as is Dragon's Dogma, which I'm playing at the minute, and Dark Souls needs that. If it had all that, then I'd have thumbed it up, probably, because I don't mind a hard boss fight, but not when that's all there is to the game. Anyway, guys, I'm off. My next review is a preview of Battleborn, and the next full game review will be Dragon's Dogma. So have a good weekend, and I'll see you later.